All right. So, what's up, man? What's going on? What do we get? What's this? What's all this about?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Just like waking up in the middle of the night, like every night. My eyes twitching throughout the waking hours.
Oh, it's because you're getting back into the news zone, reading too many news articles.
Yeah, I gotta like consciously stop doing that. I'm gonna have less time to do it starting next week at work, I think, anyway. But yeah, I mean, I feel like basically fine now, but
No, it's just not well rested.
yeah, there's that. Just having some dark nights of the soul this week. Not being healthy, that doesn't help either.
That doesn't. Yeah, that's bad. Yeah, it's not good. Being healthy definitely makes a big difference in feeling better. It's like kind of like most of it. Like most of feeling better is being healthy. Actually, most of how you feel comes down to how healthy you are. It's very rare that you feel any certain way and it's not related to that. I guess
It's true.
it can happen.
I should actually be feeling I should be having much worse mental health stuff, considering that I'm like, just drinking too much and whatever. Just thinking about nuclear war or whatever, getting angry at the news all day, every day, basically.
Yeah.
But also part of it,
Sorkin mode.
Part of it is like, I don't like talk about this stuff with anybody in real life ever, except for you once a week. And even like the whole kind of point of us talking is to like try to find some some humor in it, I guess, as well. I was sitting on the subway the other day, and I was just like envisioning myself just like primal screaming. I was like, maybe I need to do that. I'm feeling a little bit bottled up here.
What kind of sandwich did you get though?
Jesus Christ! I have eaten some Subway sandwiches uncharacteristically in the last week.
I wasn't even sure that they had Subway there. I mean, I guess it would make sense
big.
that they would.
It's Subway.
It's big.
I've learned
some of the biggest Subways in the world, folks. They love it there.
It's like the biggest international fast food chain, like bigger than McDonald's. At least I've heard this on Doughboys. Yeah. I think I heard that elsewhere.
Huh.
Yeah, like friends from like that I've made from other countries have told me like how popular that place is everywhere. And yeah, it's big in Korea. It's actually, and it's not even like a lot of stuff like changes regionally, and there probably are some differences. I can't really even remember because I haven't lived in America for so long. But it's pretty similar. I think, but I don't know. Subway's probably like changed its menu or something since I've had it in the U.S. But I don't know.
So okay, I pulled up a chart. I'm like, is this AI not knowing what the fuck it's talking about? You search for it, and then a chart comes up, and it says, the top 15 largest fast food chains by global store counts. And number one is something that says mixture ice cream and tea. That I have no fucking clue what it is.
It's probably one of those things that there's like 10 trillion of them in like Taiwan alone or something that we've just never heard of.
That's because this is from China, and they have 45,000 of them.
Yeah,
45,000 chains.
I think what I was citing was like U.S. based fast food places.
Right, that's what I put. I put most popular American fast food chains internationally. Right, that's what I searched. But AI is dumb, so it pulls up
the
like
Gemini is always fucking wrong, like everything.
Yeah. But it's like that's the first thing it shows you. But
Right.
even just extrapolating off of this map, it's like the highest American one is McDonald's, then Starbucks, then Subway.
Huh.
And this is just the number of chains or restaurants or whatever they have. So it's top 3 for American, you know? That's pretty good. I wouldn't have predicted that if you told me, you know?
I feel like I've heard, because like the whole thing was that it's like, oh, it's even bigger than McDonald's. But yeah, it looks like that's not true. I don't know. Although I'm just looking at AI, which is...
Yeah, but this is also like... This is saying the number of chains, right?
Yeah.
This is not saying the most...
I might be thinking of another metric, like in terms of
Right.
popularity or
Right.
even, I don't know, like a profit or something, but...
Happiness index.
The happiness index of sandwich artists globally.
Yeah. Yeah, but see that then there's also this chart that's the most criticized fast food chains, and the number 1 is McDonald's. You know what I mean? So that just goes to show.
Yeah, but that also doesn't surprise me.
Right.
Ever since the hit documentary, Super Size Me.
Yeah.
I forget why I was
The number 2 is Pizza Hut. Okay, anyways, continue.
Nothing. Just I was like reading the Wikipedia article of the guy who did the Super Size Me the other day. I don't know why.
Is he still alive?
No, he died like kind of recently.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I fucking know that guy's name. That's
Morgan
weird.
Spurlock.
It's weird and bad.
I mean, it's a
It's
memorable
weird and bad.
name. I was remembering how fucking annoyingly... I remember just being annoyed how much I kept hearing about that movie, like from like people kind of like my parents who were like, I think they're almost like trying to signal to me like this was their like anti-corporate stance or something. Like McDonald's is actually pretty bad for you. I don't even eat that crap. It's like, since when?
When you really think about it, you know, when you really stop and take a few minutes to really think about it, man, McDonald's is kind of bad for you. You know, that's what I'm always saying.
I mean, and now I look back on
not...
that, and I was just like being a fucking. I was yeah, whatever. It's like
you're being a damn soy cuck lib. You're just pooping your little diaper.
It's being contrarian. It's like, well, my mom is actually like taking a stance against like this evil corporation, but it's like not. It's like. I still have to be critical about it because it's not perfect, perfect communism or whatever. Yeah. Anyway.
Right.
That was a lifetime ago.
Oh. Yeah, I was wondering. I was like, oh god, I knew that he had died. He died. It was just last year, May. You know, we finally getting around to doing our Morgan Spurlock tribute episode now. He died May 23rd, 2024. We're June of 2025, but you gotta, get the but looking over at how did he die? Oh, I think it might be interesting. He's got a lot of stuff going on, but no, folks, he died of the big C. Everybody knows it. Yes, he choked on a condom. No, he died from cancer is what it says. Complications. Complications. I
was gonna say
cancer at the age of 53.
He had a huge alcohol problem, and you just really slurred that word there.
I know, perfect. But I will say, important. This is obviously important to anytime we talk about any media figure, and especially one that has passed away. The widow Spurlock, she's looking all right. I would say, you know what, not too bad, not so bad. So, I mean, she's single, maybe, still. She should be still mourning, I think. It's barely been a year. If that fucking slut is already seeing other men, and it's not me, I'm gonna fucking kill her. Anyways.
I think the thing I looked up about him and how I got on the wiki was about how it was, like, totally dishonest, that whole documentary. Like, he was, like...
Oh, sure.
He was just getting drunk every night, and they said, like, because that was one of the key points people kept talking about, like, oh my god, it was like his liver was all in bad shape.
Yeah.
And they were like, it's from the McDonald's. It's like, this guy's been drunk for like 30 years straight already at this point.
Nice. See, and I had always heard that it was also, like, partially because he had been, like, a pretty strict, like, vegetarian or vegan for years before starting this as well. But I didn't know that he was getting he was also, like, a raging alcoholic.
He was a huge drunk. He like, there's some, I looked
Yeah.
like, he basically admitted it, years and years and years
He said
later.
at one point, I have not been sober for more than a week in 3 decades.
Yep. That was the quote.
Yeah, probably not the McDonald's. Though, I still wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend eating that much McDonald's. Still, that doesn't make it... That doesn't make... McDonald's doesn't get the W on this one just because the guy was an alcoholic, too. Because I guarantee there's plenty of people who do both also, and they're not in a documentary, right? In fact, more McDonald's should serve booze. Why don't they do that? I mean, fuck.
They do that in
It's not like it's like a family place anymore.
German McDonald's, I remember hearing. You can get draft beer.
Hell yeah. There used to be a Carl's Jr. in Hollywood that had draft beer when I first moved to LA. All those a decade ago. And it got fucking turned into, like, overpriced fucking apartment complex condo type bullshit. They tore down the only thing in the world that made me happy, the place where I could eat the burger from the Paris Hilton bikini ad while getting drunk. And they got rid of it just so that fucking people who owned French bulldogs didn't have to walk as far to get to the Beverly Grove or whatever.
Yeah.
I agree.
Let's just do this thing. I've got...
Yeah, let's start this shit.
We still got plenty of time, but I do actually have a hard out, but yeah, we got more than enough time. So anyway, why did I even say anything? Who knows?
You're allowed to have a deadline even if it's, longer than we need, right?
It's true. I am allowed this.
I'll let you. It's perfectly fine with me.
Welcome to Heat Death of the Universe, a podcast. Period.
He walked out in the gray light and stood, and he saw for a brief moment the absolute truth of the world. The cold, relentless circling of the intestate earth. Darkness implacable. The blind dogs of the sun in their running. The crushing black vacuum of the universe. And somewhere 200 animals trembling like ground foxes in their cover. Borrowed time and borrowed world and borrowed eyes with which to sorrow it.
And lo, for the earth was empty of form, and void, and darkness was all over the face of the deep, and we said, look at that fucker dance.
Welcome to Heat Death of the Universe, a podcast that fully embodies the notion that to know and feel all this and not have the words to express it makes a human a grave of his own thoughts. It is 11:07 in the AM, my man, Korea Standard Time, Saturday, June 21st, year of our Lord and the Snake, 2025. Your neural correlates of consciousness are now integrating the words made flesh of me, Joshua. How am I not myself, Nomen Mutatio, and time traveling to us through the deep sea internet cables is Tim Zoran Mamgioni Buckner. Did I pronounce that right? I think so.
Sure. I mean, I'm not offended, but I'm doing great, Josh. You know me. Always happy to be on the only podcast that says, I don't give a fuck how many people live in Iran. I don't think it's important. I really don't. How you doing tonight, Josh?
That's your viral clip of the week. I've seen so many times. Good one.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
In the words of our Lord and Savior, Thomas Likas, I'm doing great. Yeah, before we get into the
podcast proper,
the scary topic, the
sure,
the ulcer-forming topic of the week for me personally, listening to people talk about Israel and Iran this week nearly killed me. I'm pretty convinced my organs were revolting against the system that is me. But I've got a couple things listed as preamble bullshit we can go through before we get to that, and to the relatively lighter topics that all burst onto the scene in like the same span of 24 hours. I think I messaged you. I was like, just today, like these 4 things went down that, yeah, is more than enough for an episode, topics for an episode. Yeah. The No Kings / Trump parade, and the extremely weird political assassination spree in Minnesota. Those light, fluffy topics relative
I forgot about that.
to the biggest news. I know it's the news cycle is absolutely.
It was kind of funny
unhinged.
too. That guy was kind of being a little goofy with it,
That's an interesting take.
I mean, it was bad, but it's definitely bad, but he didn't seem to be taking himself too seriously about the whole thing, which I, for one, appreciate. A little lighthearted, assassinations.
A little levity in your hyper-realistic murder mask wearing. Yeah. All right, first on the list.
It really fits with like I think you should leave, / Nathan for you kind of vibe of like the current like comedic zeitgeist. You know who else falls into that? And I feel like it's unfair that I don't kind of give her credit, although it's kind of her own fault because she's on SNL. Is that Sarah Squirm / Sarah Schneiderman or whatever? She kind of is part of she's not part of like a group, like a real, like they interact with each other necessarily, but she's part of like the cultural zeitgeist of like a little bit loony, off the wall sketch comedy stuff. But obviously, like I said, the main reason why she now doesn't seem to be part of or lumped in with that group is because she sold out to the man. The Zionist supporting man.
Yes, these are all the entertainment equivalents to Vance middle name Bolter.
Yeah.
He had the classic 3 names. Anyway, we'll get there eventually. Maybe. We'll see.
Probably not.
Very snarky headline here from, what is this thing now? The Daily Beast. Ice Barbie, that's Kristi Noem, to you, good sir, visited biohazard lab with RFK Jr. before hospitalization. So I was giving, let's say, very uncritical support to the allergic reaction that Kristi Noem had and was hospitalized for earlier in the week. I don't know if I have anything to even say about it beyond that. This is truly a I was just hoping for the best. You know what I mean? It was funny seeing the picture of them posing in front of this like biohazard lab, like the world's most unhealthy man in charge of all of the nation's health. And then Rand Paul, and then this horrible little heavily caked on makeup Nazi Kristi Noem, the dog destroyer herself.
We like to call her Gorgeous Goebbels, okay?
I'm assuming she didn't die. I guess that news could have been obscured by all the other stuff going on this week. I feel like someone would have mentioned it, but no, she's probably doing great.
As I say, I don't care. I don't care if she's still alive. In fact, I hope she dies. But, maybe not from this, because then maybe they'll turn it into something weird and try to use it to score political points or something. I don't know why, but maybe. One thing that did cross my mind as you mentioned the Daily Beast is that I remember, first kind of hearing about the Daily Beast when it was like, oh, Meghan McCain and the Daily Beast, and I was like, that's kind of mean that they call it that just because she's fat, you know? But then I realized, like, that's not... She just worked for the website. It wasn't named that because of her. But, yeah, anyways. I thought that for a long time. That's not... I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe she's just, like, she's into fat acceptance or something. She thinks it's cool. It was very funny that they took a photo op in front of, like, this is where we keep all the biological waste, and we're going to have the two guys who are the most into, like, nothing should be done about it. You know, the two guys who are the most, who for totally different reasons are both like, we shouldn't ever do anything to stop this from, like, infecting the entire planet. And she's just there with them, like, and it's my job to package it. Yeah. Like, cool.
We need to deregulate these biohazard prisons that are trapping all of the biological materials inside.
Yeah.
Liberate these viruses. So yeah, because nothing good can ever happen, Kristi Noem is still living and breathing on this planet.
Can you imagine Rand Paul just being like, some of these viruses are allowed to get to, like, the ripe old age of 16, 17 years old without being able to infect anyone, and I think that is atrocious. Little libertarian joke there for you folks.
I did just say nothing good can ever happen, but I did just remember one of these rare little gems of something good happening, and it just happened, I think, I don't know, hours ago possibly. Mahmoud Khalil is finally released from ICE detention after more than 3 months, which is, it's completely insane that he was ever detained at all, of course. But
he missed the birth of his child.
Yep.
Which is cool. That's cool. That was good that they did that to this guy.
Totally worth it. Totally justified. Nothing weird going on in the United States.
They had to make sure. Listen, it's, you know, you trust but verify, and we just had to make sure that we could verify that he wasn't a terrorist. I don't even know what they were trying to claim the problem was with him, because when they grabbed him, they weren't even doing the ICE raids as much, right? He was more like, his thing was more like, we got to show you that you can't be mean to our good friend Israel.
That's 100% what it was, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of quaint to even think back to that time, and it was 3 months ago or whatever, that was the main thing that we were like, oh no, the Gestapo in the streets are being like, you're not allowed to be mean to Israel. Like, that's not... We're way past that.
Yeah, it's... But positive, we're staying positive. He's out, folks. Don't look to the past, look to the future.
Yeah. Now, you know, he'll be there for the second kid's birth, maybe, if he's allowed to live long enough.
But speaking of positive, the power of positive thinking, headline from the science world: people would rather be electrically shocked than left alone with their thoughts. This is This is actually a study from I think 11 years ago, 2014. But I heard about it for the first time this week and then looked into it a little bit more and just thought it was kind of interesting. It's also, it just 100% plays into that whole meme that's turned into just a thing to mock, right? The men would rather XYZ than go to therapy. Because 67% of the men in the study chose to voluntarily shock themselves by pressing a button than have to just sit in an empty room with it, to entertain themselves somehow, some other way besides shocking themselves.
Right.
And then it was 24% of women. I shared this online, and some people kind of pointed out that it's not as because if you just look at the headline and don't really think about it too much beyond that, it's wow, what does this say about our fucked up society or whatever? The psychological health of people these days. Whatnot with the constant distractions and whatnot. But I think a lot of people can also kind of identify with the feeling of desperately not wanting to be left alone just purely with your own thoughts, nothing to redirect them with.
Sure.
But yeah, I just thought that
and
was
a little a little zap of electricity is kind of like a quick. It's like literally a little buzz. It's a quick buzz to get you kind of into thing.
I mean, I guess because
go
it's
ahead.
in the context of being in a scientific study, you're going to assume it's not going to be lethal or too painful. But they didn't.
Sure.
I don't think they were told what the voltage was or anything. So they had to find out. But it was the curiosity thing.
It did, thinking about it. The idea of being left alone with your thoughts or whatever did cross my mind. It reminded me of an old joke. It's like an old kind of, I don't know, street joke or whatever, but it's the pedophile walking the boy into the woods, You heard this one?
Wait, what?
So it's a dark night and there's a pedophile who's walking a little boy into the woods, right? And there's a bunch of noises and stuff going on. And then the pedophile says to the kid, oh, you scared or whatever. And the kid is yeah, and then the pedophile responds yeah, you think you're scared? I got to walk back alone.
Jesus Christ.
And it is.
That's where your mind went first.
Because of how scary it is to just be alone, even though it's the same. You walked already there. That there's no monsters or anything in the dark, but it's scarier to do it by yourself, and that's why these people don't want to be left alone just with their thoughts. And electricity is your little friend that you bring along with you through the darkness.
True. I'm seeing here that actually that joke was the origin of this scientific study. Interesting.
Yeah, they were.
Interesting. Full circle.
They're we should study to see about how that pedophile's doing now. Everyone should make sure to see that he's doing okay. Yeah.
This one, the old Daily Wire email subscription landed in my inbox just yesterday, I think. Yes, on Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth, by the way.
From the Daily Wire.
Yes, the Daily Wire's email was entitled, "It's Juneteenth. Don't panic." Because that's what you do if you're a Daily Wire type person. You get real scared about Juneteenth.
Yeah.
The huge holiday that's in our faces, just dominates the culture every year. And to the surprise of no one, this email is just chock full of absolute racist insanity. So it's advertising the Juneteenth Survival Guide, which is, let's look here. It's
That's pretty good.
Get a copy of the Matt Walsh hit documentary, which I believe was not a hit at all, even by their standards. Am I Racist?
If the way that you judge if something is a hit is the amount of podcasts that talked about it, it was a hit.
I think even on that scale, though, it was people just most of the I didn't listen to any podcasts about that documentary. The one everyone was talking about was what is a woman, and I think they thought they were going to repeat those kind of numbers with this one, and I believe it just. I get the sense just from putting the old antenna up in the culture that it was not. People are just kind of
yeah,
fuck this predictable horse shit. It's not even fun to laugh at it or anything.
I think that the Daily Wire paywall hurt this one for that kind of thing, because a lot of podcasts referenced it but didn't review it. I guess I would agree with you on that, the idea that they didn't actually watch and review it, because it was they didn't want to have to deal with the Daily Wire paywall.
Yeah,
it was referenced a ton all over the place. I do know that at least one podcast that I listened to actually watched it and reviewed it, but it wasn't it wasn't one that I guess a lot of people listened to or whatever.
People weren't sharing the clips or whatever on Twitter and stuff like they were with the previous one.
Right. And that again is because of the paywall, right? Again, it's because
you can still get clips. I mean, clips just get reproduced anyway. I'm just saying
you can't get clips if you don't have you can't get clips of it if the content itself is not available.
I think there was a backlash though in general of just like fuck even giving this guy critical like any criticism because it's so much bullshit. Like that was my feeling about it. Like I think we thought for like a second like maybe we should review it, and I was like, no.
I kept pushing.
Did
I
you?
kept saying we should review it. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I didn't listen.
Over and over again.
I heard a few people chime in and say that it was like not even worth like watching to be critical of or to laugh at. That it's just, yeah.
Well, I really thought that it would be good for us to watch it because I thought it might help you. You know, because I do think. I do, you know. Anyways,
help me answer the question.
Yeah, because I know you've been thinking about it a lot, and it's hard to decide, you know, or it's hard to commit. I've been thinking about joining, you know, which side am I on when it comes to the whole racism thing, because both sides have like, you know, they've got their talking points, they've got their pluses and minuses, but I haven't been able to commit, you know, so I thought it would be good to help decide. Well,
maybe. I was thinking that we need some lighter fare coming up soon, possibly next week. So, but I don't know. I don't really have any interest in this. But just to further talk about this stupid email, so they're like, get the survival pack, which is watch the documentary, and then they made a like I don't know card game. The Am I Racist? The game, a party game where you debate stereotypes and decide right or racist. I'm sure that's fun. I'd almost rather review the game than the movie, but
I do like the idea that those are the mutually exclusive things when they're not. Like that's the part that these kind of people get hung up on and refuse to like accept or understand, or they just don't want to understand. Like, you can be right while being racist. Like, that is not those things aren't like the point, but they've decided that racist means bad means wrong, so you're saying that being racist is wrong without just like accepting, you know, whatever. Anyways.
And then there's this third thing. It says, do the workshop. I guess they're like, yeah, it says literally satirical. I guess they're trying to be funny. Satirical soul cleansing for the socially anxious. That's all. That's the only description of it. But did you see like the little graphic? How they have just like a guy with a big Crusader cross shirt down there on the image.
It's pretty good.
It's like a MAGA hat guy, but then they're like, here's just the Nazi guy.
Yeah. Like this is like we got the neo-Nazi guy, yeah.
I mean, I'm guessing this is there. It's like a thing where they're making fun of like white fragility style, like corporate race relations shit, whatever, HR stuff. I don't know, whatever. But very tasteful thing to do on Juneteenth. Leave it to the Daily Wire. I guess this one. Speaking of racism, oh, come on, Intercept, don't make me sign in.
God damn it. You no good son of a bitch.
Trump could use sacred native land for a monument to Christopher Columbus.
Oh, that's good.
Sounds exactly like something our president would do. Yeah, I guess he's had this plan since like the previous regime to build a national statue garden, but he wants to do it on like sacred land in South Dakota. From Columbus to Trebek. He wants to have like Andrew Jackson and Alec Trebek, is that what I'm reading here? Anyway, this was like in motion, and then I guess Biden put an end to it, and like he might revive it now. This just like gaudy, insane, tasteless, to put it as like lightly as possible, I guess. Very Trumpian style thing. And it would be like funded by some like plundering mining company in South Dakota, of course. Like, of course.
Yeah. He said I guess he had a plan for this for a while or whatever, like you said. Oh, you'd expect, but I do kind of like feel like Trump can't help himself, and like just like the idea that like he would have some like weird like Christopher Columbus, he was all right, you know, but he was a little whatever, a little fruity, a little whatever, you know, like I just would expect like he would like have some kind of weird backlash at Christopher Columbus, you know. A lot of his stuff like that is like based on like jealousy and trying to like build himself up above someone else who's considered great, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's but also like he's also good at just like something like that, just like grabbing it as a cultural signifier and being like, oh yes, we love Christopher Columbus, don't we, folks? We love him so much, as just a way that like he knows that the idiots who like him like that because it's like, you know, it's pissing off the libs or whatever.
Right. Yeah, that's really all I would guess it is too. I mean, also Trump is a certified moron who probably is not even aware of the discourse on like we don't like Christopher Columbus anymore is like a pretty mainstream idea at this point.
Sure.
But he just, you know, he doesn't know things, so he's like, "What do you mean? We all love Columbus, don't we, folks?" But also, I could see it equally. It could be a little both, like being an idiot, but also because this whole thing apparently was a reaction to when people were trying to remove Confederate statues. He was like, "Oh, you want to remove statues?
Sure.
I'm going to build a statue garden on native land with Andrew Jackson, Christopher Columbus, and Canadian-born Jeopardy host Alex Trebek."
Yeah.
In this article, I like that it points out the fact that some of the names never got American citizenship at all, including Christopher Columbus. He was never even a citizen.
He wasn't even a citizen. What the fuck?
Trump.
We need to.
They should. That's
deport
not
his
the
ass.
issue, though. Either, like, who cares if you?
Sure.
Andrew Jackson was a citizen, and that's like an equally offensive person to build a monument to. I mean, especially on like in the Black Hills of South Dakota. I mean, it's completely insane. But that was the lighter side of news in the nation these days.
Now,
Yes, what's up?
Far be it from me to, you know, cast aspersions, but when you say the lighter side, you mean that in a positive way? Are you implying that there's something negative about being darker?
Oh
and
boy,
having dark skin. I didn't think I was gonna have to do this, Josh, but I think you might be doing some colorism, sir, and you might have to take several seats.
Could be. I think we could also think of this in terms of weight, but then I guess I'm going into like body shaming territory by your account, probably.
Oh, you think that that's better? Do you? Oh my God. Okay, you start out with this Morgan Spurlock fucking anti-McDonald's thing, and then now you're being even more ableist, and you're saying somehow it's bad. It's bad if you have to buy 3 seats on the airplane to be able to comfortably sit. That's a bad thing now? I'm sorry, Josh, but some people are healthy at any size. It's, you know, I think that's the Ralph Nader book, right? Healthy at any size. Yeah.
Yes, of course, this is what I mean when I say the lighter side of the news. I mean the skinnier person side of the news and the lighter skin colored side of the news. Of course. This is what I mean.
You mean a skinny ass little white bitch, and that's all you're thinking about.
Yeah, but now we're getting into the gigantically obese, dark-skinned realm of the news, which I call the Iranian regime, who, oh God, this is just so insane. Everything going on related to this, and it's quite a wall of text here. But
now you tell me this, woke liberals. Why is it so bad to do a regime change, but you're perfectly fine with doing a sex change?
Good God. That makes me dizzy to think about like Lindsey Graham trying to reckon with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's bad because it's just his head explodes. That's all I wish for in this life, is for Lindsey Graham to have a Scanners moment on Fox and Friends or whatever. But yes, it appears that, I mean, we this was all breaking news basically as we were recording last week, and the discourse has been totally sane and reasonable about this. The debate is
everyone is right on both sides.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of this is being framed as like, will the U.S. get involved? But I mean, I think it's important to point out that the U.S. is obviously already involved, because Israel doesn't do shit without the go-ahead of the United States. It's incapable of being the belligerent pariah state that it is without U.S. funding and approval. So we're already in it. It's just Israel is like the gun in the shape of a supposed nation. I mean, they like Netanyahu and like pro-Israeli figures have literally called Israel the unsinkable aircraft carrier, I believe, in the Middle East, which is just really saying it out loud, saying it loud and proud.
Sure, it's pretty good though. It's even better because it's not just an unsinkable aircraft carrier, but you also has like accountability scrambling technology installed in it. You know, you don't even have to be a stealth bomber, because you can just be like, listen, that's not mine. That is not mine. It's basically like if you live with your girlfriend, but you have a roommate who's like a single party guy. So like anything that she finds in the apartment that like you shouldn't have, you could be like, you know, that's Steve's, man. He's the one who's always, you know, he's the one who's always like, whatever. You get it. Fill out the rest of the joke there. You get what I'm saying.
That's Steve's death camp over there. That's Steve herding people by the hundreds into aid distribution centers where he slaughters people by the hundreds.
Yeah.
Classic Steve behavior.
Fucking Steve.
But yeah, like, just I don't even know where to begin, because there's just so much crazy making shit about the way people are talking about this. I mean, the projection levels of projection are kind of off the charts. Like, I mean, let's just start with the fact that, like, so when Netanyahu got on TV and gave his reasoning for why they were first striking Iran, which has already been forgotten, and everything is being framed as, you don't think Israel is starting to defend itself by doing first strikes, which is like literally things I've heard people on the news say and whatnot. The reasoning is, it's an even more infuriating version of where are those WMDs, right? Because they're not even saying that a nuclear weapon exists. It's this idea of their capabilities. There's uranium being enriched, leaving out all the context of like what happened with the nuclear deal between. It's not even just the U.S. and Iran. It's other countries too. We're signatories on this, but I guess the primary members are the U.S. and Iran. But like when that was basically, it was totally fine. Like Iran was abiding by this deal, which meant that what's the agency called? I keep forgetting. International Atomic Energy Agency. They would inspect the uranium enrichment,
Sure.
Which, part of the deal was they could enrich to certain levels that were used for like nuclear energy, civilian uses, non-weapons levels. And they did this by the books for years and years until Trump came in, funded by the Adelson family, who's obviously bloodthirsty against Iran. They hate this deal. Trump tore it up, but okay. The main point is there are no nukes. There should be, really. Like, if you look at even just recent history, like, what's the lesson that any nation should be learning when it comes to dealing with Israel and the United States and having nukes or not having nukes?
Listen, you're going to want to get yourself some nukes. When it really comes down to it, folks, it's your first, best, and really only line of defense. Now, other places are going to tell you, 60% enriched uranium is enough. People will be scared because you could do a dirty bomb. Blah, blah, blah. But you really you got to go with the A-line, top of class H-bomb at minimum. To really just let them know you mean business.
I mean, really, like... Every country that has nukes has not really been genuinely threatened since they've acquired them. And a country like Libya, when Gaddafi was in charge, they voluntarily gave up their nuclear weapons or nuclear weapons program and were destroyed.
Classic Lib move. Yeah, giving up the nukes. But yeah, you know what nukes are? Nukes are like having a mustache or pubes. It really signals that you're a man. And you're an adult country. If you don't have, who's gonna take you seriously? Nobody. Oh, it's so funny. Look at the little baby wearing a suit trying to pretend like he deserves human rights. Yeah, okay.
And the thing that gets almost zero coverage in all of this is the fact that there is a single nation in the Middle East region that does have nuclear weapons and has never allowed any inspection in the country. That's Israel. Israel has had this secretive. It's like the thing with everyone knows they have nukes. They just wink at the camera and go, "Who knows?" They don't say yes or no. It's strategic ambiguity or whatever, which is completely insane. And yeah, there's also one country in the region that has been bombing all of its neighbors simultaneously. I mean, you don't even have to go back far in history. It's just happening right now. They're an occupying force in Syria and Lebanon, Palestine, obviously. And it seems like we're targeting the wrong rogue nuclear state by this insane threat to have a full scale war on Iran. And, I think the most recent thing is Trump is given some vague timeline of 2 weeks, but then he's not even sticking to that. He's literally saying things like, "Who you don't know what I'm going to do." he's narrating what people say about how he's out of control and unpredictable. He might as well just be saying, "I'm out of control and unpredictable. Who knows what I'll do?" I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but I listened to it enough where he was literally saying, I might not. You don't know what I'm going to do.
You can never say.
Could be 2 weeks, more or less 2 weeks. It's if you're giving a deadline.
No.
I mean,
we saw how deadlines and red lines and shit work with all of this Israel stuff with Biden, so.
Well, right, yeah. Rafah was the red line 10 million years ago now. Yeah.
I think Rafah was the second or third red line even.
Probably,
anyways,
yeah.
But yeah, I do like that Trump's official stance on if we're going to join and support Israel at this point is some men just want to see the world burn. He is seconds away from just saying I'm the Joker baby.
Yeah. And then there's this is all, the thing was there were supposed to be another round of negotiations with Iran on the few days after Iran attacked or Israel attacked them, and there's just all of the most hawkish people are just lying or oblivious, whatever, doesn't even matter because the result is the same. But like this idea of like, they need to come back to the table. They're like refusing to negotiate. It's like, no, you fucking killed a bunch of their top military brass, nuclear scientists, hundreds of civilians already. I mean, of course, like it's exchanging blows between an entity and the Zionist entity, so it's totally lopsided on the one side with civilian casualties, and there's just so much insane hypocrisy and projection, and this like the fundamental law of nature that is of Israel, which is every accusation is confession. Stuff about like, yeah, bombing hospitals is bad again is a headline I have here about this. So like Iran has been, getting a lot of missiles through the air defense systems that have always been overblown as being like, basically perfect or whatever. They weren't even actually aiming at a hospital, and no one was killed in this strike, but a hospital was basically damaged, and it was the result of like the shockwave from a strike on an actual military facility nearby. Oh, which brings up even more projection and insane hypocrisy and accusations being confessions about human shields. Like it's being maybe slightly more broadcast to a wider audience now that Israel does exactly what it, accuses everyone else of doing, which is purposely placing all of their military targets, the Mossad headquarters, the Ministry of Defense. They're all just in like downtown Tel Aviv, doing the thing that they say that only the wild Muslim hordes do because they love death or whatever. So yeah, I saw like Netanyahu standing in front of the hospital, just being like, "Could you believe this?" And then like look at the facts about what Israel has been doing in Gaza. All 36 hospitals that exist in Gaza are completely decimated. You can find, endless like video taken by the IDF of them like just going into a hospital and like by hand smashing equipment up. Like there's no way you could possibly justify that as having anything to do with, targeting Hamas or whatever bullshit. But yeah, it's all made me feel pretty insane this week.
It's pretty good, I think. Again, everything's going well.
Yeah. Hang on, I'll be back in a minute.
All right, sure. Folks, he has to go jack off. I understand it because he's talking about all of this death and destruction, and it, you get there and it just kind of makes you so incredibly horny, and you have such a raging hard-on that you can't help yourself. There's nothing you can do, and there's only one way to alleviate the pressure. When it's that deep, when it's bone deep, and it's just all the way in, and you gotta let just a little drip, just a little spray, just a quick, just a light little, let a little pressure out of the balloon, as they say. I was like putting Freon in the AC system in my car. I put a little bit too much. And when you have to let a little bit out of let a little bit of the Freon out of the AC system, the way that it sprays out, it just that was basically what Josh just had to do. Josh, how's it going?
What's up? You talking?
Did you
talking HVAC or something?
Yeah, you had to do a little quick release valve because you were getting yourself so worked up talking about all of the death and destruction in the Middle East.
That is kind of part of it. I have found that it's better for me if I take a piss break and recenter. Yeah, got to get it out. Exactly. Just say that. Based on when you listen back to what I was talking about as you were gone, just say it's better out than in. Just gotta let it out. Perfect response. Yeah. I mean, whatever. This is gonna be a little all over the place, but
That's what just happened when you were gone. You kind of, it got a little all over the place. It happens sometimes.
I don't know what else to say about this. There's a lot. Like I was thinking about how, Israel is the actual like dangerous nation with like of all the countries that do possess nuclear weapons, I would say Israel is the one that I would most likely expect to use them at this point.
Yeah. Okay. If it's it's a boy band situation, if all of the nuclear armed countries were in a boy band together, Israel is a little bit of like the loose, like the rebel, the bad boy, if you will. The one that it's for the girls. It's for the girls who are looking for, or I guess it doesn't have to be girls. It's for the fans who are looking for the boy who's maybe a little bit dangerous.
The Nelson Months of the Simpsons boy band.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's been the only, actually, speaking of release valves, that's been like the only thing I've been like kind of purposely trying to not think about this shit, has been like just watching some classic Simpsons this week. It's been a nice little escape. I recommend it. Little show called The Simpsons.
I have a similar coping mechanism. It's reddit.com/rsimps. It's similar.
I feel like that's something else besides the animated series.
It's classic.
Stuff.
Listen. When I get to looking at it, it gets me animated. You know what I'm saying?
I can imagine. But speaking of Samson, the Samson option. That's what I was thinking about. The exciting official doctrine of Israel, the Samson option, which is I was thinking about it as one of the three of like the kind of holy trinity of the most moral army on Earth's military doctrines. You've got the Samson option. You've got the Dahia doctrine, which is the formalized doctrine named after the neighborhood in Beirut, where they just level all civilian infrastructure because that's how you win in a moral, legal way. The thing that they're just saying they don't do, only the unhinged Muslim hordes do that. I have the IDF official IDF tweet. They wrote, "We target, they attack." As simple as that. It's just against all facts, reason, and logic. Total opposite date style shit.
The opening of that, "we tarded," that's maybe not the best, but I guess I mean they're letting people know, they're saying, the FRS, as they say, they're saying we've got that FRS. So, you can't really predict what we're going to do next, I guess, is the message that they want people to know.
Yes, the IDF said we tarded. You heard that right.
Yeah. Huh.
The exciting doctrines, that's what I was talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Samson option is essentially
when the doctor tells you that you got to get a backiotomy.
Are you familiar with this thing? This Samson thing?
Yeah.
Seymour Hersh wrote a whole book about it that I've thought about reading, but I don't know. Maybe after the U.S.-Israeli empire collapses, then I'll want to read about the history instead of reading about the shit that's just happening right now. That's horrifying. But yeah, it's the nuclear strategy is basically like we will blow up the Earth in the process of it if there's a nuclear exchange. We will just self-destruct and unleash all of our nukes upon every corner of the globe, essentially. Look it up. I'm not kidding around.
It's pretty cool.
It's basically exactly what I just said.
I like it a lot. I think it's again, we were talking earlier about being the adult in the room. Right. It's really forcing people to understand that, It's like it is I mean, the term nuclear option gets thrown around, but it really is the I will turn this car around of diplomacy. It is basically I will turn civilization around, folks.
Yeah.
We will go back. We will go back to the Stone Ages, maybe even before that. We might go back to the prehistoric ages as far as I'm concerned. If you kids in the back don't shut the fuck up.
It's a 1-to-1 comparison for sure.
Yep.
And the third in this triune demon god of Israel's military doctrines, of course, is the Hannibal doctrine. Hannibal Buress will take out.
He'll name more jerkers. He will tell you about more people who jerk off in front of women. He's not afraid.
You might be.
Yeah, that is.
You might be downplaying the crimes of one William Cosby a little bit there.
True. I think I was combining Hannibal Buress thing with the Louis C.K. thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Which we don't do here. We make distinctions between the sex criminals, usually.
There's different kinds of rape, and, as far as we're concerned, there's light and there's dark rape. And, some of them are good and some of them are bad. That is the official stance of Heat Death of the Universe. Some rape is good and some rape is bad. The only podcast that says some rape is good. No, edit that part. No. Yeah.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. I don't know. This is bad. This is all very bad. And I have a feeling that... I mean, the thing
it's about to get worse.
Trump is actually so erratic that... And I guess maybe also there's some possible just wishful thinking on my part because I don't want this really horrible thing to happen. But it's I could see this going kind of either way of the worst possible thing or just whatever classic taco behavior where we all get really scared and then basically Trump backs down to some degree. But I don't know. It's kind of a coin flip at this point.
Yeah. The one thing, the weird thing about Trump is that, he gets called out with the whole Trump taco thing, and then he instantly tries to get rid of all the Mexicans. It's it is classic Trump. He's like, okay, if you're going to talk about Trump's taco, then I'm going to be the only taco that anyone cares about. I'm going to have the only tacos in the land.
And I guess we'll talk about just kind of the even calling them useless is too high. It's high praise to call the Democratic leadership useless on this. They're just collaborators. They're just as evil. They're just as in support of doing regime change in Iran. Chuck Schumer literally put out his little video trying to be a tough guy to Trump, but it wasn't sir, we shouldn't do wars. It was you are being a weird, wishy-washy pussy about this. You are being a taco, good sir. And Hakeem Jeffries basically did kind of the same thing.
Old Tua Jeffries. I think one of the hardest parts of the whole thing is that just you kind of expect. It's such as you kind of expected the Antichrist to not be so stupid, It's that's the hardest part of believing that Trump is going to do anything. Even though as it's happening, you're just kind of he feels like he's bringing upon the end of days. And it fits all of the prophecies from the dumbass Bible, where it's some people will believe that he is the second coming of Christ or whatever, and it's happening, and you're but this can't be it. All of that build up and the way that they made, and it's this dumbass. It wasn't supposed to be a guy this stupid, right? He was supposed to be slick and clever. It was supposed to be Jason Bateman. Yeah, no, it's supposed to be Jason, or is it Jason
Patrick Bateman, not Jason Bateman.
Patrick Bateman? It's supposed to be Patrick Bateman with the, the guy in the movie. What's his name? The Mechanist Man.
American Psycho is the movie you're thinking of, but that was Obama was the Patrick Bateman
Obama
of
was
presidents. But anyway,
yeah, Obama was the guy who came across like the Antichrist in the books, but in real life, the Antichrist is Trump. And that's the final, answer to the whole thing, which is why it's so tough, as you said, to like not just accept that where this is headed, because it feels wrong for it to be this stupid, but hey, that's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah. Hang on one second.
Oh, folks, he's already good to go for a second round. That was pretty quick. I don't know about you, but at this age, I can't do a second. I can't get a second shot off that fast. A lot of times I gotta at least wait until an hour or two or the next day, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. But Josh has still got the energy, stamina, wherewithal, as they'll say, that was, God, a half hour, maybe, at the most? Like I said, for me, it's like at least a couple hours to fire off round 2. But again, talking about all of the genocide and murder it really just gets him going, I guess. Yeah, otherwise, I don't know. What have you guys been up to? See, this is the point. It felt like it took a lot longer this time, which makes sense. It's almost like you're forcing it at this point, which is okay. Hey, Josh, what's up?
No, I wasn't pissing that time. I was preemptively defending myself against a gigantic cockroach.
Oh, so you were doing a basic preemptive strike, which a lot of people have recently been saying is bad and immoral or something. But when you did it now, it's like, it was actually just smart and good.
I'm telling you, every accusation is confession, even from me.
Hey, listen, I heard one of the most toxic people that I've ever met in my entire life say, when you point a finger, remember that you have 4 pointing back at you, So, exactly.
Same applies to nuclear warheads, right? Somehow, I think. Mutually assured destruction, all that. Where were we? One angle of this, I guess, there's many, but this idea of people finally coming to terms with this idea that maybe Donald Trump wasn't the peacenik he promised he sometimes promised he would be on the campaign trail. More's been made of this than is probably warranted, but a handful of MAGA figures are basically saying this is a bad idea to do regime change war in Iran.
Sure.
But also then they're kind of backing down as well. So you have sloppy Steve Bannon, little bow tie Goebbels, Tucker Tarleson. You had your MTG. What's the Sex Pest's name? The guy who looks like Family Guy. Gates.
Oh, wait. Which Family Guy does he look like?
He looks like the pervert one.
Quagmire?
Yeah.
I guess a little, yeah, I can see that.
He looks like he's wearing a cartoon mask.
Yeah.
He's got cartoon face.
He oozes Quagmire vibes for sure.
Maybe that's part of what it is. Yeah. But maybe out of all those people, because I think MTG is not even signing on with this thing, which is part of the collaborator Democrats thing. Their only form of slightly pushing back is they're trying to get this resolution passed, which is just restating what the laws already are in the United States, which is that you can't declare war without the approval of Congress. It's just like that's been so thrown out the window by now that like people are like, oh, we got to like remind with legislation that that's how things are supposed to work, and as if that's going to matter to Trump anyway. And on top of that, they will fucking approve this war anyway. If you look at like the numbers of who's in favor of this, it's like the majority of everybody in Congress is on board. So it's like, wow, the brave Democrats trying to get this stupid bill through that just reminds people of how things are supposed to function anyway. I was trying to remember, like, when was the last like formal declaration of war? Was it on Afghanistan after 9/11? I'm thinking it must be that. But no, because there was like a vote in Congress for invading Iraq too, right? So I think both of those probably had like formal declarations. But
yeah.
But anyway, also, who cares? Those were both like immoral, stupid wars anyway. But
right.
Yeah. There's so much. I keep derailing myself, as I've said in the past. Oh, out of all,
you've taken 2 breaks from the podcast to go derail yourself.
That guy Dave Smith, the libertarian, he's the only one I've seen really admitting that he was completely wrong to support Trump because he thought Trump would somehow be anti-war, pro-peace. He just came out and was like, "Yep, I was really wrong. He should be impeached, etc." Which is like whatever. I mean, I guess it's more dignified than these other people, but because even like the people that have had some tepid criticisms, like Tucker Carlson and Steve Bannon and Marjorie Taylor Greene, they ultimately just say like, well, we're gonna still trust Trump no matter what happens. We think it would be disastrous to do this, but hashtag MAGA forever is basically like where they've left it at. And just like the parameters of the debate in the media are absurd. It's basically like between the two poles of like, should we nuke Iran or really, really nuke Iran? It's like it's the full spectrum of it, basically, from what I've seen. And like when I wrote that in the notes, that was before this most recent news that came out, where the White House has actually said that tactical nukes against Iran is an option on the table, and they tried to walk it back with some like there was something in like the Guardian about this. But in their attempt to walk it back, they just said, "But all options are on the table," is what they left it at. So they're like, "No, that's rash, that's crazy." But all options are on the table. So in other words, like you're leaving this as like an open option to actually start a nuclear fucking exchange. That's the other thing that just like it's so insane to think about. Like the two countries involved in this both have nuclear weapons. One of them actually is the only country to ever actually use nuclear weapons and use them on a civilian population. But they are supposed to be the moral arbiters here. It's all mind-boggling and makes me feel crazy and kind of sick to my stomach. But what are you going to do, right? I'm sure
you just let go and let God, as they say.
If I worry about it hard enough, that'll change the president's mind. I don't know. I mean, big thing that like came out about this, which I posted about in our Discord, saying it was like one of the funniest things I'd seen all week, was the Tucker Carlson, Ted Cruz little debate, I guess you could call it. I don't know, interview, which got like a huge amount of play in the online realm, I guess. Almost to the point that I was finding it annoying. Like I just felt like the clip that got the most traction was like the least interesting of all the insane shit that happened in that, which was him talking about, he doesn't know what the population of Iran is. Cause like, is anyone surprised by that? And like, if he had known, so what? It doesn't really change anything. Like, he says so much other insane shit. Like, yeah, I mean, that this comes in, reminds me of another like angle on all of this. The Iran is a theocratic Nazi state, so therefore we're justified in killing who knows how many people to invade a sovereign nation and do regime change. But the people that are most adamant about this are America's like most prominent, insane Christian theocrats. Like,
yeah.
You kind of referenced that Mike Huckabee text that Trump so proudly shared with the world.
Yeah. Like, check this. He said, check this freak out, is what he did. Everyone look. He was doing like the thing that they do on Reddit, like on the, like, I guess, I don't know, like, God, I'm trying to think of what subreddits do this, where it's just like, oh, it's like nice guys, r/nice guys, where they post like Twitter interactions with like real freaks who think that they're like, they think I'm the nice guy type shit, where it's like, I went on one date with this guy and look what he sent me. That's what Trump did. He posted that. Mike Huckabee tweet. He's like, I let this guy take me to Red Lobster one time, and then this is the tweet that he sent me. That's what Trump said. Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, it's it's funny and it's terrifying because he references, notably in the middle of this thing, he says, not since Truman in 1945 has someone been in a position like yours. Obviously referencing dropping nukes on an enemy. Yeah, and he just said a bunch of other like God blather about like God spared you from these assassinations, and I mean, obviously Trump is like the most fake, like quote unquote religious guy ever, but like something that's been crossing my mind more recently, especially because Trump is objectively more demented than he's ever been. Like his brain does really seem to be kind of truly rotting at this point. The way he talks is, it's like we're getting the real dialectical synthesis of the Brandon Trump, the Brump synthesis here of, both, of the worst qualities of both guys just, appearing in one man. But I'm wondering, I mean, it's funny what you said about him sharing this, like a nice guy's Reddit tweet or whatever. But there's also the possibility that he could be like kind of starting to believe his own hype men rather, and his own hype. Just like maybe I am like chosen by God to do some epic apocalyptic shit. But I don't know. Let's hope not, I guess. I don't know, man. But yeah, I mean, and Ted Cruz was saying all kinds of insane religious shit to justify like his absolute dedication to the Jewish state. And so like some people were like giving, critical support to Tucker Carlson because he had a couple of good like gotcha moments or whatever about this, and he is
sure
technically saying he's against this idea of going to war with Iran, even though, I mean, but completely fuck Tucker Carlson. Let's not even slightly get that confused.
All of that shit was just like, yeah, he's like more media savvy than Cruz, which is like, I mean, fuck, cool. The guy that everyone hates, you're like able to be slightly more likable than him. Good job, buddy. But like, like it doesn't prove anything again, because even like the shit that he was saying was like, again, it's like, it's great for gotcha moments on TV, but even Ted Cruz was like, why does it matter? And it's true. Like, it sounds bad on TV because you're not allowed to ever, like, be ignorant or not know something online. That's, like, against the law now, especially with Google, right? Everyone just tells you, oh, just Google it, which I did like on the RM program where he got the Tim Pool's idea, his fix. I especially, my favorite part of that, and this is like recapping another person's bit, but I especially liked the part where he was like, excellent salvo, Mr. Cruz, because it was like, it felt like James Bond, like outsmarting a villain, like where he's just like, oh wow, that was quite the master play, saying that you were going to go do diarrhea in the toilet. No one would be the one. But yeah, it's like, it is absolutely fucking meaningless. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many people live there if the point is different than how many people live there. It's like, I get Tucker's idea and it speaks to like a moral rot, a moral sickness, but it's not like fucking Americans are above that shit. How many, like, you could do the same thing to the average American and be like, how many chickens died to make your dinner tonight? And they won't be able to fucking answer you. Right?
And how is that any feel different? They won't feel like that's like a moral point against them or something. Yeah.
Right. But it's the same question, but it doesn't matter for some reason, you know? So yeah, it was good and it was funny and it makes you laugh or whatever in the moment. Oh, he got his ass, especially because it's Ted Cruz, who everyone fucking hates. But it's like, again, like you said, it doesn't mean anything about Tucker because that is Tucker. Tucker gonna tuck. That's like his thing. He sucks. He's a shitty person. He's media trained. You also have to keep in mind that he's a fucking crash out fail son from like trying to be a CIA fucking agent, FBI agent, or whatever. Like he couldn't put on the big boy pants and do the real shit, but he's like just outside of the realm of like actually being able to do stuff. So keep that in mind when you think like, oh, he really got his ass or whatever.
He also apparently like called Trump and apologized to Trump for the way he conducted this interview with Cruz because it by extension. Well,
Trump claimed that, but there's no confirmation. Yeah.
Okay. Either way, I mean, yeah, I could see that going either way, but yeah, the stuff I thought was more damning or whatever, even though it ultimately, so what? This is all just our little treat amusements here. Ultimately, this interview, but I liked the part where Ted Cruz was saying that his reason for undying, endless support for Israel is because he learned in Sunday school. The Bible says that those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And Tucker Carlson was like, you think the Israel that's being mentioned in the Bible is the Israel of right now? And he totally does, and so does every fucking idiot who's pro-Israel. They really think
it's so good.
Anything to do with the Bible. Like when they decided what they were going to name Israel, they had multiple options. Israel was one of several, and they were like, that was the whole point of it, was like, we got to make people think this is a religious thing, this is a biblical thing, this is about like ancient history. So yeah, that's why we're going to choose this word Israel. Like, it has nothing to do. And also, I mean, of course, on top of all of that, who gives a fuck what the fucking Bible has to say about anything? But if you want to, buy your own logic, Ted Cruz on that, it's very easy to do. And like, I was thinking about how I would, if I had the opportunity to get a bunch of gotcha questions on Ted Cruz, like how much harder anyone else could go than fucking Tucker Carlson did, I would just ask the basic question to any Christian Zionist, like, what do you believe happens to the Jews in the afterlife? And watch them squirm 1,000%. Why does no one ask them that? People
Right.
got to get that question in front of these people in the public. I want to see it. I want to see the squirming take place, because it wouldn't even be squirming. Like, how can you, if you're an evangelical Christian, you can't pull the like postmodern, like liberal religious angle and be like, oh, well, various interpretations. It's like, no, you're a literalist about the Bible. People who don't accept Jesus Christ into their heart will burn for all eternity. So how closely are you aligned with these people again?
Right, that's the part that like doesn't get said. People love people, Michael Moore fucking I was gonna say bullshit. What's that? Penn and Teller. It kind of feels bad that Teller gets lumped in, because I don't know what his politics are, though I wouldn't be shocked to find out that Teller is like a libertarian type guy.
I think they're the same. I think they're the same.
Yeah. You assume, right? Yeah. You don't let a guy speak for you for this many years and not like speak up when he's saying that shit. If you don't agree, right? But those type of motherfuckers, a Bill Maher type of motherfucker, likes to be like, who's the biggest supporters of Israel in America is evangelical Christians. Evangelical Christians and George Bush, they love, that Israel exists because they believe that there has to be Israel to do the end of the Bible stuff. But like, people love to say that, but as you say, they never take the next step. Which is like, feels very obvious to just be like, make them say it. Yeah. Make the evangelical Christians say why they support Israel. Make them say why they support the end of days stuff. Be like, why do you think that Israel is so good? And just have them have to be on the record of saying, well, I think it's good because they're all going to die and get fucking sent straight to hell and bring apart me getting to go to heaven. Like, why don't they make them say that?
And make them say that they should also have to say that they believe Jesus Christ will fly down on a winged horse when all this goes down as well.
Yeah, but exactly. It's like, make them fucking do that. And maybe there could be like some kind of split, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, let's just see what happens when you ask the basic question like that, So I think it just doesn't even occur to people. They're just like, oh, because for like decades now, this catchphrase of like Judeo-Christian values or whatever that all these fucking chuds say all the time about like the foundation of Western civilization is Judeo-Christianity, whatever. It's just like, yeah, but these are not compatible religions, especially the way you're practicing them, especially. Right. So that's what was like driving me absolutely insane when I would hear like Lindsey Graham or Ted Cruz or whoever, like not even just be like, Iran is authoritarian. They were specifically going like, they believe in crazy end times Islam. Isn't that crazy? It's like you're the same, but worse even.
That's you. Bro, that's you. But also, I did want to mention, because, you said his name there, Lindsey Graham. I will say, like, the world has gotten so crazy at this point that Lindsey Graham ain't cutting it. For me, I need Lindsey Ounce. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you've got that tolerance to overcome for sure.
Yeah,
you got a main line
at this point. Yeah,
just shooting it straight into where did junkies shoot up in between their toes. No, but that's when you're that's when you're hiding it though. You're.
I'm out in the
proud.
open. I'm like a gay man in the British clubs in the 90s because I am all about that Lady G. You know what I mean?
Another, and just on the theocracy thing, the theocracy hypocrisy, if you will. One Fox News guy literally said, "Where is it? I wrote the exact quote as I was hearing it. Oh, fuck, too many things here." Yeah, so Lindsey Graham called Iran a theocracy and called them religious Nazis. Just like that's a twofer. That's like you're defending the actual Nazis, which is Israel, by calling Iran religious Nazis. But then the Fox host of that in that interview, I think, doesn't matter, whatever, they said, yeah, and Saudi Arabia would like to see the theocracy gone too. It's like,
Okay.
we're like best buds with Saudi Arabia, which is literally under Sharia law. It's a full-on absolute monarchy with Wahhabist Islam as the state religion. So Sharia law is the basis for the legal system. I mean, I just don't know. I don't know, one, how you live with yourself and just like be able to lie this much. It's mind boggling to me. But like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess Lindsey Graham does really hate himself. It seems pretty self-evident, but
That's a big part of the whole thing, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I already said it, but the whole discourse of all these representatives of like the IDF and stuff coming out and just insisting that they're doing like super careful surgical strikes and we're like warning people to get out of the way, and it's like, you literally did a fucking surprise attack.
Yeah,
You've killed hundreds while Iran has killed maybe dozens, although it's hard to know because Israel is so insane about like limiting like journalists in like being in the country and showing the actual like toll of what's happening. But who knows? But the entire narrative about this being anything about nuclear weapons is like complete smoke and mirrors bullshit. And like, of course, a lot of people are having like flashbacks to like 2002, like the lead up to invading Iraq. But I was thinking about it, and like, I don't know, some people have pointed out that like the difference seems to be that we're not even really trying to manufacture consent anymore. It's like, it's just going to happen, like, despite there being like way less support, supposedly. I don't know, like, obviously polls can be bullshit, but it's something like 16% of like the entire like US populace actually wants this to happen. But it seems like, you know, it's not like we have a very solid mechanism to represent the will of the people in the United States. So I guess unsurprising. But I was thinking about the differences between, so like, is it really that different is what I'm saying. Like what because like what was the kind of I mean, I guess the depending on your beliefs about the nature of 9/11, like now we don't even have to do 9/11s to get into these wars. Like we just skip the whole 9/11 part. But okay, let's even.
That's kind of good.
Yeah, I guess so. That's progress. That's MAGA progressivism. No, but like the bullshit that helped kind of like manufacture consent was like, it was like what, Colin Powell like holding up a vial of some fake powder,
right,
or showing some really shitty satellite imagery. That's pretty half-assed as well. But I mean, I guess it's still half an ass as opposed to none,
right,
in this case. I mean, all that's being said right now is, I mean, this threat of nukes, but like I've already talked about how insane that is coming from Israel and the United States, who, yeah, anyway, I don't need to repeat the stuff about the nukes, the insane projection of that, but
yeah,
I don't know. We'll see what happens, folks. I have a bad feeling about all of it, but I don't know. I guess that could ease us into talking a little bit about the military parade, which was truly hilarious, and our president giving us some of that all circus, no bread diet we talked about before.
We love it.
But like now, in light of the amping up all of this shit with possible boots on the ground or whatever in Iran, it almost feels like, oh no, was like all of our laughter at this military parade, like, did this egg him on to be like, I'm gonna show how fucking powerful the military can be after that insane display of basically weakness.
Did calling him Taco Trump over and over again do this? Right? Yeah.
Right.
Maybe.
The thing is, it's not that crazy to imagine. We know how this man operates.
He's dumber than hell.
Yeah, he's a moron. He's petty as fuck.
He pooped his pants. His pants were already made out of poop. Everyone knew that they were pooped already before he showed up. Yeah, what did you expect?
So yeah, this was just 7 days ago now that this parade happened. I know I mentioned this like every episode, but my God, does it feel so much longer ago than that at this point? I don't know. Maybe my sense of time is just permanently warped now, and it doesn't really have anything to do with following the news. But I don't know. What were some of the funny highlights from the parade? I mean, I guess this has been kind of talked about to death, but it was pretty good. The one I didn't hear people mentioning really at all, except for like one person on Reddit pointed this out, is where I first noticed it. But one of the military bands was playing the Creedence song "Fortunate Son," which couldn't be a more hilarious pick. Did you hear about that?
That's so good. No, that's good though.
That I think gives a huge amount of credence to the to some of the theorizing I saw, which was that a lot of like the really lackluster marching and stuff was maybe like an intentional fuck you to Trump by some dissent within the military there. But playing Fortunate Son like seems like such a direct attack on Trump. Like,
right.
Song is literally about draft dodging, little fancy lad like Trump.
Yeah,
and he's like bobbing his head along to it. He's just loving it.
This is sick. Yeah, it's like him with the YMCA thing. He's like, this is great.
Right.
I think it's cool. I think this is cool. Yeah, he doesn't. But that's like part of Trump's whole thing, right? It always has been. It's kind of why it's like he makes sense for like the modern, era rap. It's, why they like embrace him still or whatever, because it's like that disassociative nature. He's rich and opulent and disassociative from society, and it's like it is why he's like so popular and why he speaks to like a certain sect of thing, because it's like he doesn't know what the fuck is going on. He's so fucking smart. Trump understood the assignment from the beginning when it comes to like setting low expectations, because it's not like Biden where they're like, this guy Biden, they're like, his brain done goofed, he's fucked up, like this guy can't even do words anymore, right? Because it's like, oh yeah, look at how he used to be. But Trump, you could never like be like, look at how much stupider Trump is now than he used to be. Like you can't point to something and be like, look at Trump, he's so much more dumb than he used to be. Like his entire thing is being dumb as hell.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, like I mentioned earlier though, too, about like actual like organic brain decay seems to be happening, which when you combine that with his personality and level of intelligence, it seems a bit concerning, I'd say. Concerning.
Right. I mean, like, real, like, linguists doing data studies have pointed to the fact that, like, his average communication, like, skill, like, the grade level of his normal word choice and vocabulary has, like, gone down a ton, right? But, like I said, if you're just a very, like, surface level watching the guy, you're just like, he's always been stupid as hell.
Right.
Like that's, yeah.
I just had a vision of like, because in my mind, I had that kind of, I don't know if we call it a meme or whatever, to like jokingly say vaxxed when like something goes wrong with someone's health or whatever, or they do something stupid. I just imagined like MAGA, like, that's the way they end up dealing with like accepting that Trump is declining in his mental faculties, or just like it was the vaccine.
Right. It's made him stupid. He can't help it. He was kind of patient zero in a certain way, because he made his policies made the vaccine happen.
It's so funny how all of these people fucking just don't reckon with that when they're doing anti-vax shit.
Right.
It's like the same way I want to ask Ted Cruz about where the Jews go when they die. When I ask these people, like, what? Did you ever hear about Operation Warp Speed? What was that all about?
Yeah. You gotta ask Ted Cruz, where do bad folks go when they die?
Don't go to heaven where the angels fly.
And then, like, I don't know, a couple of other, I mean, yeah, the parade was just like, you could hear like the tank treads like squeaking. Like it just seemed like it was like rusty old equipment. And they were doing a whole, to be fair, I guess they were doing this thing of like the military throughout the ages. And they had like guys dressed up like Revolutionary War era shit and whatever. And like Trump was just loving the costuming, the pageantry of it and all that, whatever. You could see people like, and oh yeah, I mean, just the total lack of attendance was hilarious. And then it was contrasted by all of these pretty huge protests going on throughout, not even just America. It was like had international participation, the No Kings thing, which I know like there's some like element of this that's like, I don't know, do nothing lib energy. And there's like, there's literal like people with literal could be at brunch now signs, but I don't know. At this point, it's like things are bad enough to where I'm willing to give. I don't know why we keep coming to the term critical support a lot in the last episode, but
Sure.
critical support, whatever, to some of this
might
stuff.
as well.
I'm finding myself giving a bit more charitability to the libs these days. Is what I'm trying to say, but so. I don't know. That was good optically, but again, also, does this just like egg on Trump to want to start dropping nukes on people? We'll see. Who knows? And some of the other funny bits were like people just like yawning in the crowd, like Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth, and Trump looking very pissed off. And yeah, I do have an article here about how reportedly Trump was raging about the failure of this parade. His birthday / the Army's 250th birthday parade. And then, yeah, there was shots of like, you could see just like sponsored by Palantir, like really big on the stage. And the one everyone mentioned a lot was like, there was like an actual like announcer talking over the PA about like, this parade sponsored by Lockheed Martin. Like, Coinbase was the big one everyone had a laugh at.
Sure.
But all I could think when I saw the Lockheed Martin one and Palantir, I guess both, was like, how are they sponsoring this? They live off of defense budget money. Like that's where they get their money from. They're not the sponsor of this thing. It's pretty dystopian, gotta say. And then all this shit was like happening at like the same exact time. It felt like more or less within like the same couple span of a few days. Yeah, this string of assassinations in Minnesota by this very suspicious, weird guy. What was his name? Who's this guy now? Vance Boatler.
What's all this then? Bowler? I've heard people say it.
Yeah, it's just a really weird series of events, and then like there's some like
I thought it was cool.
Some crazed reactions from the right, of course, about this before revealing that, of course, this guy was just a huge MAGA guy who was really into InfoWars. But before it was revealed, they were like, there's one particular guy, Mike Lee, Senator Mike Lee. He was like tweeting like, what did he say exactly? Like a picture, it was like the Ring camera picture of the guy wearing the creepy mask that some people were saying looked like Walter White or whatever. Yes, he simply wrote with that picture, that like terrifying image, this is what happened when Marxists don't get their way. And then the clever follow-up tweet, Nightmare on Walls Street, except he wrote Waltz because everyone, I guess, calls Tim Walz Waltz.
Yeah. The Tim Walz thing is fucking, I think about, like, oh, he seems like a really good politician. He seems like he's got, a lot of stuff. He could definitely be a contender, in the next election, blah, 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 right? But he's, like, kind of feels like on the back burner for the most part, as far as I'm concerned. And then I started hearing, like, right-winger types talking about him, and they are still, like, insanely obsessed with him in a way that seems unhealthy and freaky, and, like, they exist in a counter reality to me, because basically, like, the hard right people, they think of Tim Walz as if, like, he is the epicenter of, like he is drag brunch. He's, like, the human embodiment of the concept of drag brunch. Like, he's, like, a queer monster. Like, I heard people talking about him like he's, like, like, he's some kind of, like, queer rapist who, like, takes small children and indoctrinates them into, like, his disgusting, like, lifestyle. I'm like, he's a married man with multiple children with a wife that he's been with for years. But, like, they think of him, like, the tampon Tim and all that stuff has turned him into, like, and when it's, like, the real thing is, like, the communism thing and the, like, being obsessed with China or whatever is, like, more, like, realistic to talk about him about. The idea that, like, the hard right, like, Q adjacent, like, side of stuff is, like, they think that he is, like, a gay pedophile. Like, and they say it like it's just a known fact.
I mean, that's how these people operate, though. They just make shit up out of completely nothing. Like,
right.
If there was, like, a germ of an idea, it was like they heard about the thing that's, like, not even real, about the, like, putting tampons in the boys' bathrooms in schools or whatever, and they're just like, that leads us from A to Z somehow. Like, yeah. But it's so and this Mike Lee guy, I'm realizing now he made at least two posts where he basically called this killer a Marxist. He also just wrote "Marxism kills" on another one. But then it's like, okay, the thing is he killed he went after only Democratic politicians, state politicians. Like, the jumping the gun on this thing is just so, I mean, I guess I just answered my own sort of question, which is these people just make shit up. There's no connection to reality whatsoever. But it's like the opposite. It's like total topsy-turvy opposite shit. Like, oh, well, he killed some Democrats. Must be a communist. Like, it's like we don't know anything about this guy yet. Why are you even guessing? Because you don't even think there's a slight possibility that this could be a guy from your team, especially considering, like, the history of who these mass shooters and assassins turn out to be when all is said and done, like, every time, basically. But yeah, and then, I don't know, this Mike Lee guy was, like, confronted, and he was just a fucking asshole about it, and, like, and then Trump even, like, well, if you could believe it, Trump was an asshole too about this. He basically said something like he didn't even want to meet with, it's a really standard, like, political, like, etiquette thing to, like, call up the guy who's in charge of the state where, like, this insane murder just happened. Also considering that, like, Tim Walz was, like, friends with the people that got shot, and some of them actually died, some of them survived, but
yeah.
There was a whole other angle of this thing too, about just how weird the police response was. Like, I wrote this, like, long thing about it. I'll just link to it. My mouth is getting tired.
Running out of steam.
Kind of, yeah.
I can understand that.
But yeah, Trump was just, like, asked, like, why he didn't make that, like, standard kind of polite call to be like, hey, heard you? Because Tim Walz was also on this guy's hit list. The hit list was also all just Democrats, and being people, like, getting this information and being like, Oh, like if there was one bit of information that they thought maybe was in favor of this guy's actually a Democrat, this is an anti-Trump guy, somehow was they found all these like fake looking flyers that said no kings on them in the guy's car. But like, it's also kind of like, couldn't you just realize that maybe he's considering targeting one of these protests? That's why he has the flyers in his car. Not that he's like in favor of these protests. Yeah, it's completely upside down, turned all around, batshit lunatic stuff. I tell ya. Maybe we'll pick this up later, like get into like the conspiratorial angles of all these killings. But like I said, I'm hitting the wall here, hitting the Tim Walls, if you will. It is kind of a fascinating story, very, obviously fucked up and tragic as well. That should go without saying.
Crazy, spooky, hilarious.
All right, Trump says he's not calling, quote, whacked out Tim Walls after Minnesota lawmaker killings. Yeah, that was the headline on that one. But it's a good of a place as any to call it a day, I'd say. Let's recommend some stuff. Do you have anything?
No. Yes. I don't know. Been watching the Call Me Ted or I Am Ted Turner documentary thing. It's fucking weird, man. It's weird.
Are you recommending this again? Because this was last week's recommendation.
Oh, did I recommend this last week? Okay.
Yeah.
Damn, probably the same thing then. All right, fuck it then. I forgot. I forgot that I said it last week.
It's fine. You don't have to have one.
I don't have anything else to add.
It's not the law.
It is the law of the jungle. No, yeah. Then I don't.
I'll say what I had. If you think of anything, you can bring it up after.
Sure.
I want to advocate for wholesome YouTube shorts because they're one of the few things aside from watching old Simpsons that made me feel a little bit okay while otherwise just feeling increasingly insane from the news overdoses that I take every day. I was just going to recommend one, and then I started thinking of all the kind of little videos that I like that are very wholesome. But the first one I had written down as something to recommend was there's a YouTube channel called Sandcastle University. Sounds so wholesome, and it is. It's just this person who does sand sculptures on the beach, and they make lots of them, and I think they probably have longer videos too, but I tend to just watch the short ones, and it's got like an ASMR quality, I guess, with like the sounds of the sand and the ambient noise of the beach, and it's very calming and enjoyable. I'm a big fan of like watching people build things, create things. It's in stark contrast to all of the nihilistic negation of life type stuff that dominates the news, I would say. All of the evil and destruction. So yeah, and then just like general type of videos you may also enjoy that I enjoy are like watching like time-lapse videos of plants growing, and I like a good woodworking video. There's this maybe I'll link to some of these in the notes. Some particular ones I can track down. There's this one Japanese woodworking video channel that I really like. Also a big fan of like this sort of survivalist YouTube videos. I think that the hashtag is bushcraft. Gets used a lot. I've noticed a lot of those are very like they're doing a lot of like sex sells kind of stuff, but some of them are like less egregious than others, and are like actually like good wholesome videos. But I've noticed a trend of some of them being like very attractive women who happen to have very prominently erect nipples showing while they're like showing you how to build a fire or whatever. But that's wholesome. There's nothing unwholesome about
The
erect
nipple through the
nipples.
shirt. The nipple through the shirt thing on women is like, it's just kind of mainstream now. It's like just kind of just normal.
I'm in support. It just makes me laugh that it's like it must be like pulling in like a certain segment of the viewership.
Sure.
Like that's doing a lot of the work for some of the people who are like, not scrolling past the short video or whatever. But yeah, anything like painting, drawing, I like all these kind of things, all these videos, and there's lots of genuine, nice things out there if you take the time to find them. And I would also recommend kind of like train the algo as much as you can. I don't even know how much you really can. I like to imagine that I am doing it somehow by like when I see some stupid, shitty thing and I like downvote it, scroll past it quickly. I feel like I'm less likely to see it again. And then stuff I really like, let it play, give it the old updoot. Yeah, the stuff that's just the opposite of all the like ubiquitous scam shit that there's so much of out there, of course, as well. But yeah, anyway, try to make your algorithms wholesome and nice. That's my recommendation. And the sandcastles thing is cool.
Well, I think you vamped enough for me to like come up with something, so I'll just say
nice.
I'm gonna give a shout out to a YouTuber, Brian E. Morton. It looks like his @ on YouTube is BE Morton, MORTON. He does like Los Angeles food reviews, expeditions. He does everything on public transit. He talks a lot about like, the environment and the impacts of, cars versus taking public transit and all this and that. I think unfortunately, if you look through his videos, he might be falling into the it ain't news category. He ain't got the views, so it ain't news kind of situation. But his most recent video was actually kind of interesting and funny, playing off of his history, because he's like, it's LA protest street food, parentheses, military occupation edition. And it's like, just going around and getting LA street food while ICE is being ridiculous, basically. And it's, I guess the best way probably to describe what he's doing is like tender queer, like that's kind of like the vibe of it. But I normally would think that that's like kind of annoying, but he's very earnest in a way, and some of his humor just hits me just right in like a goofy, like he's kind of doing like dad-ish level of
Sounds
humor.
like a real Tim Walls type.
Yeah, he's very Tim Walls adjacent. But yeah, so that's my gen rec of the week, is to check this guy out who's only got like a couple of subscribers. He's got more subscribers than us, I guess. But check him out. He's pretty cool. I don't know.
Nice. Yeah, it's good to shout out people who need more views for all that news.
Exactly.
Including ourselves, who you can check out more about in the episode description. You can see the schizophrenic show notes that I've made. You can join our Discord. Be sure to do that. Drop by, say hello. Add to the rich gumbo, the discourse gumbo, with your ingredients. And
dewy sausage is a great additive for the gumbo. Yeah. Continue.
Very true. And also in the episode description, you can get linked to Tim's other podcast endeavors, which are
Q&T, the Q&T program over on the Violent People website. There's a lot of good podcasts over there. I want to give a brief, minuscule shout out to Late Night with the 2012 Royal Rumble, a podcast that unfortunately is on indefinite hiatus at the moment because the main host of it, Patrick, it's Patrick, but it's like Gaelic Patrick or whatever. I say Gaelic, whatever. He was trying to do like the worst decision of the worst idea of our lives, but for wrestling. And so he was reviewing the 2012 Royal Rumble every week with a different guest. Just one match and one particularly bad match every week with the same guest. But it's going on hiatus indefinitely, as I said, due to whatever. But yeah, otherwise, check out what I'm doing. Check out other cool stuff happening on the Violent People Lab feed. That's like kind of, I like it. I like the Violent People Lab feed. I want to promote more people do stuff there, you know, because it's neat. It's like an incubator for podcasts. You can go onto the Violent People Lab feed and you can kind of like do whatever you want as a podcast on there. So anyways, check out Violent People. It's a website. It's a wrestling website for art nerds, I guess, is like the best way to describe it. So yeah, check it out.
Yes, check it out. And I don't know what made me think of this suddenly. Did you say something about Nathan Fielder? That was
earlier when we talked about it.
Way
yeah.
earlier. Did you hear about this? About how there are all these like billboards, I forget where, somewhere in the United States. Billboards are popping up everywhere about like freeing Elizabeth Holmes, the scam artist, whatever.
Yeah.
Theranos, that whole thing.
Her man's did you like, everyone's been talking about it, but her man's is like doing a new blood thing?
I don't even know about that. But apparently this is maybe evidence that it's of what Nathan Fielder is working on next, because like back in March he reportedly visited her in prison, and now all these like weird unexplained billboards are popping up everywhere, so people think that Nathan Fielder is behind them, and it's for like whatever next show he's doing. But that's just a little stay tuned, I guess, if you're a Nathan Fielder fan, which you should be because he rocks. Wow. All right then. That's the show. And as Teddy Cruz always says to Tucker Carlson in interviews, Tucker, I hate communism, although it was Batista who tortured my dad. Good night, good luck, good morning, Vietnam.
I see trees are green and red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed days, the dark sacred nights. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Shaking hands, saying, how do you do? cry, and I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
The first voice recording was made in 1860. It was a 10-second fragment of the French folk song Au clair de la lune recorded by inventor Edward Leon Scott de Martinville. But who will make the final voice recording and when? What will it be? Who will hear it?